Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also the King of Armor Destruction, the Armor Wizard. Zap, zap, and we have something long time coming. Helmets. Do I really need to keep testing them or not? In reality, a lot of our helmets are there to provide bump protection and a minimal ballistic threat standard, mainly encompassing a max of our NIJ level 3A 9mm, not usually including our 44 mag. We'll have to see how these tests go, but from hard head veterans, not hard hat veterans, I keep calling them that, or HHV for short. This is their Gen 2 Aramid shell. Let's take a closer look at this guy and see what we're going to do today. This particular Aramid shell from HHV weighs 2.788 pounds. I've had this for probably a year, and I do believe this is made in China and it's imported, and they do final quality checks on it to ensure conformity. Now, if this is the first time you're viewing my YouTube channel, we do all of our body armor or ballistic resistant material demos completely different than everyone else on YouTube. We're always after worst case scenario. Now, the helmets have been something I haven't tested a whole lot, so we're still always kind of fiddling with the test protocol, but we're going to shoot at approximately 12 feet. We're going to shoot the NIJ level 3A specs of our 9mm and 44 mag at each side of our helmet to measure our back face deformation. After we've done that, we have some different 5, 7, and 9mm threats that we're going to shoot at this to see what kind of penetrations may occur. Since this is an aramid fiber, there is a limited set of ballistic threats that we can shoot at it before we get any penetrations. Just so everyone is clear, there are no current helmets that are rated at NIJ level 3 and or level 4. A lot of those are scams, so it's very important that you guys pay attention when looking at helmets for very reputable sellers who have ballistic reports and recent ballistic reports. It's around 85 to 90 degrees outside today. Now, to measure our back face, we've got our little wood bust over there. He doesn't have a name yet, but we've carved out a section inside of him that we have our Roma Plastilina #1 clay from Chavant in. Now, in the lab environment, they heat that up to 100 degrees, and I don't know how they certify the clay in the head bust, but in the giant clay briefcase that I use for flat armor, they drop a ball on it. I can't keep that clay at a constant temperature, so we're looking at a representation of what backface could be. Ideally, from everything that I understand, is that we want less than 25mm from our 3A threats in our helmets. We have our Garmin Zero C1 since we needed to record the velocity of that particular bullet. That a big thank you to Cabela's Bass Pro Shop for sending that out. We're going to forego the light screen chronograph today, mainly because of the difficulty in setting up this head bust behind it and trying to shoot through it and shoot at a particular spot. Not having that would allow me a little more leeway as I make these shots, so I can make them count and keep a good dispersion between each shot so that we can have, quote unquote fair hits. Although in the grand scheme of things, like I said, the NIJ doesn't certify helmets, and mainly all of them are rated at 3A, so all these 5, 7 threats are going to be outside of the purview of that testing. So we've got our 124 grain full metal jacket. This is our L7A1, known for producing very warm velocities. We've got our 16-inch ARV9. As mentioned, we're running the Garmin Zero for our chronograph, so that way we don't have to worry about shooting through the light screens. Did not get a velocity reading off that for some reason. Typically, we're normally in our 1500s. So here was our shot right there. We're about an inch from the edge there, but I would say that's pretty much a fair hit. Here is our little clay guy right here. There is our dimple. This was pretty much flat. Back face wise, you're looking at 7. Oh, this one's more realistic. About 17mm in that clay. Originally, this was pretty much flat. So if we go off this surface, and the deepest indent is right around 17 to 18mm. We flipped our helmet around, and now it's time to see what our 44 Magnum is going to do. This is our 429 DE, or Desert Eagle, effectively a 50 AE case necked down to 44 Magnum. This is a 240 grain semi-jacketed hollow core, closest that I could find to the NIJ spec from Sierra. We've got a 6-inch Desert Eagle. Here was our shot right here. We knocked our bust off, but it looks like he's still in good shape. And there is our impression. Looks like it's a little more spread out than the 9mm, but it doesn't look as deep. So as terms of back face goes, only 9mm. Very, very impressive. The 10mm there. That 9mm shot could be more because it was closer to that edge. That is the advantage at times of some of this particular padding that goes on the inside of your helmet. It does help control some of that blunt force trauma, although the shell has to be strong enough that it doesn't take a large dent. Very impressive so far. Now we'll step into our threats that are outside of the purview of the NIJ. This is our Liberty Civil Defense. This is known for popping different types of level 3A, typically our lower, soft, flexible Aramid 3A. We'll take a shot from our 4-inch Glock as well as a 6-inch PCC. This is a 6-inch UTAS Mini 9. 2294 on that particular shot. Another 9mm known for popping types of 3A, even our helmets. This is our Fort Scott Munitions 80 grain solid copper spun. Nice little pointy tip. This is the plus P variant, so we should see a little more velocity. We'll take a shot from the Glock 19. I don't know why this is not registering velocity wise. Here was our Liberty Civil Defense from the 4-inch, then from the 6-inch, and our Fort Scott Munition was right there. What do you guys think? No pass-throughs, folks. That's rather impressive. That Fort Scott Munitions is known for popping some helmets in the past, and that's the plus P variant. I apologize, I don't have a velocity off that. It looks like it's pretty close to popping through. We can take a shot with the 6-inch, but no other penetrations have occurred so far. Very, very impressive, HHV. For reference, this is a size small, ATE 2. Since we didn't get a pass-through on the 4-inch Fort Scott Munitions, let's step up to the 6-inch. And if we don't get a penetration there, we can go all the way up to the 16-inch.
Mad Mario's dying.
We'll grab a shot from the 16-inch Liberty Civil Defense while we're at it as well. 2642, got velocity that time. Now we'll step into our 5.7 threats, and this is probably where the helmet may cease to live even more. We've got our 34 grain black Dragon Fang. We've got our Elite Ammunitions S4, that's a 28 grain OTM, moving pretty smoking fast. Then we have M855, which is SS109, lead core with a steel penetrator. I do believe the velocity I have these going, it's the equivalent to like a 600-yard engagement. I'll have to double check my numbers. We've got a 5.2-inch rock. 2006. 2559. Woo! And now our M855. 1556. We were a little low on our Fort Scott Munitions shot, but we technically are in the Aramid fiber, so our shot was right there. Our Liberty Civil Defense 16-inch was right there. Then on the top, our black Dragon Fang was right there. Our S4 was right there, and then our M855 simulated range shot was right there. We do have one spot left on this helmet. We'll have to see if there's a threat we could shoot at it. Uh-oh, R.A.N.G.E. We have penetrations from the Fort Scott Munitions, the black Dragon Fang, and the simulated M855, but our 16-inch Liberty Civil Defense was stopped, as well as our S4. Typically, when we make things a little bit on the rigid side, our S4 gets stopped. We'll grab another 5.7 shot at this, and I think pretty much at this point we're done with it. But we've got our Elite Ammunitions T6B. This is a 28 grain segmented all copper, known for lots and lots of speed. 2562. Here is our shot of our T6B. That's far enough away from any shot that's fair in my mind. Uh-oh, R.A.N.G.E. Got a pass through on that guy. Nice. And then I think it actually went over here as well. That thing is just awesome in terms of soft armor penetration. Not the most accurate. Elite is working on that. I wanted to include 2 more rounds of our assessment of our ATE 2 helmet so that we could test these same threats against their ATE Light, which is their USA made helmet. So we've got our 8.6 black. Now this has an ultra fast twist rate 1 in 3. You can't shoot any lead core, non-bonded bullets, supersonic out of it because you will spin the jacket apart. That's why I don't have the suppressor today, because one of my FMJs went super when we were out testing last time. So we've got our copper solid here. This is a 285 grain monolithic solid. It has a very, very pointy tip, and in the past, it has done a very good job at defeating many types of 3A and even some of our ceramic panels, depending on how thin the ceramic is. We just got an 8-inch PSA build here with a Faxon barrel. And I just knocked my chronograph about, did not get a reading off the Garmin. Our final shot will be from our 40 grain 4.6 by 30 millimeters HK. What is special about this particular bullet from S&B, it has a bimetal jacket, meaning that there is an additional metal somewhere underneath that, in this case, attracts a magnet. Typically that's steel. I've tested this in the past to pop certain types of 3A. Velocity 2067 off the Garmin. So here was our 8.6 black shot, and there was our 4.6. I would say in the grand scheme of things, all those shots are far enough away from any other areas to be considered a fair hit. Now this is about an inch from that screw hole, but that is so tiny that I'll consider it. R.A.N.G.E. We have a pass through from our 4.6 right there, as well as our 8.6 black. I'm not sure where that bullet went because it is very, very long, and it's obviously not sticking through here, and I don't see an exit hole, so I'm going to guess it just bounced somewhere. But that's pretty much expected from our aramid shells, that once we start introducing any type of velocity to these or special bullet construction, they tend to fail. Well, everyone, it's one of those days where you feel like you didn't really accomplish anything. Let me know in the comments below what other threats we should shoot at our helmets to give them a full assessment. As I mentioned, they're only rated level 3A, and in that, it's mainly our 9mm, and then everything else is for fragmentation or bump protection. So the scope of threats that I can shoot at these helmets is kind of very small. You know, 10 to 12 shots seems to be the limit for what we can shoot on these. We can't shoot any rifle threats at them, and that's why we use our 5.7 to kind of mimic those rifle threats. This helmet did really well for a, import helmet. We stopped our 9mm and our 44 mag at the spec velocity. Again, I apologize for the chronograph having an error. I went to the Garmin so that we wouldn't have to worry about shooting through our light screen, which can be very problematic trying to line up all those shots. And then here we go, we didn't get any of the velocities. Our wooden bus Jim Bob held up very well, but our Mad Mario polyethylene head bus that we picked up from IKEA was not up for the task, especially filled with sand. I wonder if one of those like infinity targets, the self-healing rubber, if it were shaped in a head form, would do better for what we want to do. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here because it's Sunday, it's movie night, and the mosquitoes are attacking the crap out of me. But at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible, because there's a lot that goes into them. Number one is my family. Amy comes out here to help me run the camera a lot, and Deacon gets to enjoy shooting. So anytime that I can spend with them, even though, things don't go as planned, is greatly appreciated. Number two is my Patreon, Subscribe Star, and YouTube channel members. I have a campsite. In the description below, it's a landing page like various other content creators, and there's discount codes and affiliate links in there. And those links cost you nothing, and they earn me a sales commission. And what I do with that is I put it right back in the channel. That head bust, I think, was right around $300 that I paid a family friend to make for us. Plus, I had to spend time cutting that out. So those funds have to come from somewhere, and sometimes they come from me, and it's greatly appreciated when I can get some of those affiliate sales and whatnot to put that money right back in the channel. Number three is Hard Head Veterans. Again, in full transparency, sent me that small ATE helmet to destroy with no strings attached. As I mentioned, that is their import model at the time that I received it. They have a US production facility, and we have their USA made helmet to test in an upcoming video. Again, I'm looking for feedback to better my testing or demoing protocol so that we can produce valuable data for you guys to take away from this. And of course, number four is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.